This is part 2 of a 2-part series about one of the largest match-fixing rings in professional tennis. In part 1, we revealed the identity of the mysterious figure behind it all, known as the Maestro, aka Grigor Sargsyan. We uncovered everything about his global match-fixing network and how he paid players 500 to 3,000 euros to lose games on purpose, essentially hooking over 180 tennis players worldwide. But in this video, we'll find out how a small-town police officer toppled everything in a single blow. Y'all better sit tight and get ready for an adrenaline rush, because this is truly going to be a wild one. And as always, if this video serves up some tennis joy, bully that like button and backhand a subscribe for more ace-worthy tennis content like this. A tip came in from Belgium's Gambling Commission to the Federal Prosecutor's Office. It was about odd bets on tennis matches that were so small and off the radar, most people hadn't heard of them. These bets were winning against very unlikely odds, which made officials think someone was cheating by using inside information. This might not sound like a big deal at first, but it turned out to be the start of uncovering the biggest match-fixing scandal tennis has ever seen. According to investigators and betting pattern analysts, tennis, in terms of betting, is the sport most messed with in the world. Nicolas Borromans, 45, a police guy from Flanders, Belgium, found himself in a meeting about this. He looked around and saw nobody else was keen to dive into a case about sports betting, but Borromans was different. He thought the ties between betting and crime were getting stronger and found something interesting about these bets. So he said, "I'll take the case." Borromans, who was pretty fit from biking 40 miles daily and has never really watched tennis, started to piece together the puzzle. He mapped out the bets on PowerPoint slides, thinking this might be a way people were laundering money. Soon, he found out 4 Armenian guys in Belgium were placing these bets. They were betting small amounts, probably to not draw attention. These bets were on low-level tennis, where winning doesn't even pay much. Borromans tapped their phones and found out they were getting tips on what to bet on. They were part of a bigger scheme, and so the race had begun. Borromans kept digging and added more suspects to his diagram, calling them money mules. He discovered 1,671 betting accounts all over Europe. Most belonged to everyday Armenians like mechanics and taxi drivers. But first, quiz time. Nicolas Borromans, the Belgian police officer, mapped out the bets on what? Was it A. Google Slides, B. PowerPoint slides, C. A whiteboard, D. A chalkboard? The correct answer will be revealed at the end of the video, so stay tuned. And hey, don't be shy, hit us up with your guesses in the comments. We'll reply to as many of them as we can. Now back to it. But the investigation hit a wall. Borromans felt alone, with little interest from others in his work. He even told the judge handling the case that they might have to give up if nothing new popped up. Then, in 2017, something did. Tennis, trying to clean up its act, introduced its own cops, retired police from London's Metropolitan Police, working for what was initially called the Tennis Integrity Unit. Dee Bain, a big tennis fan and one of these new tennis cops, heard about Borromans' case. Around the same time, she was about to nab a player, Karim Hossam, for fixing matches. Hossam was caught and spilled the beans. He said he was in touch with a match fixer named Gregory, aka the Maestro, in Brussels, but didn't know much about him. A white guy with black hair around 26 or 27, Hossam said, according to a transcript of the interrogation. He has a connection with Syria or Iran. He spends a lot of time in Barcelona and drives a Mercedes. The description he gave was all over the place, making Gregory hard to pin down. After the interrogation, Hossam texted his brother from another number. "They caught me in my room, bro," he wrote. "And I was stupid. I didn't delete some things." The investigators then sent Hossam's phone to an expert who managed to decrypt it, revealing messages between Hossam and the so-called Gregory, along with a match fixer's contract. Bain, one of the investigators, realized they had stumbled upon a Belgian match fixer linked to Gregory, sparking interest from Borromans, another investigator already on the lookout for such individuals. Grigor Sargsyan, otherwise known as the Maestro, or Gregory, who was the mastermind behind the whole match-fixing scandal, tried his best to stay under the radar. He lived a low-key life, often staying at his parents' place in Brussels and working at their deli. He gave players anonymous SIM cards and detailed instructions on how to subtly lose matches, emphasizing the importance of not flaunting their earnings. Despite his advice, one player made the mistake of showing off money on social media. This threw Grigor into a frenzy. "I told him, 'You idiot, people are going to start asking questions,' he said in an interview. Concerned about getting caught, Grigor cut off personal ties, including with his girlfriend, and went as far as pretending to throw his phone into the sea to avoid surveillance. His mother also expressed worries about him, showing the stress within his family over his activities. "I'm worried about him," investigators would later hear her say on a wiretapped phone. "I think he might be in trouble." And she was not the only one. The players had also started to sense that something was wrong. Yannick Devant was a French tennis player who received over €40,710 through 21 transactions and an additional €15,000 in cash for participating in the match-fixing scheme. Grigor, known for his hot temper, would get upset if players didn't convincingly hide their fixed matches or if they talked too much about their plans, which is fair enough, I guess. Then one day, Arthur de Grief, another player involved, was concerned about getting caught and communicated his fears to Grigor, who tried to calm him by suggesting they handled transactions abroad. Despite de Grief's later denial of knowing Grigor to the police, their exchanged messages told a different story. Boromans, linking the match-fixer's number from Hossam's phone to Grigor's, discovered his travels and connections with other tennis players. This breakthrough led to an undercover surveillance operation tracking Grigor's every move and capturing his activities, such as accepting a big bag full of cash from Armenia. This intense investigation put Grigor Sargsyan, known as the Maestro, firmly in the sights of law enforcement. They were closing in, and fast. Grigor Sargsyan was always online searching for stuff about himself and his tennis game tricks. He looked things up like tennis cheating and how to spend his big money on fancy stuff and places. Most of all, he was looking for new places to bet on games. Quick side note here, I hope you haven't forgotten about our trivia question. Make sure to keep watching, the answer will be revealed at the end. And hint, the answer is not D, a chalkboard. Then, Boromans found out about Sargsyan's game. He saw Sargsyan had a lot of players from all over the world, more than 180 from 30 countries. Some of the key players were from France. Knowing he couldn't take them to court in Belgium, Boromans talked to the French police. They started digging too and talked to 8 players. One of them, Mick Lescure, spilled the beans. He told them about the matches he messed up on purpose for Sargsyan since 2015. He even called Sargsyan a friend. Fast forward to June 5, 2018, Boromans and his team were ready to catch Sargsyan. They went to his place early in the morning and caught him. They grabbed his phones right before he could. Sargsyan was now behind bars, but the job was not done, because catching everyone involved was not going to be easy. Based on these events, the ATP Tour decided to help tennis players a bit more by promising them a minimum wage. Players ranked 176 to 250 would get $75,000 a year. Nick Kyrgios, an Australian player, joked online that it still wasn't enough. Despite some efforts, the problem of cheating in tennis was big. Players who cheated got banned for life, like Yunus Rashidi, who felt his love for the sport was destroyed. Mick Lescure and some others got lifetime bans too. Grigor Sargsyan finally went to court in Aldenard. His lawyer didn't deny his part in the cheating, but tried to shift some blame to another man, Martirosyan, to no avail. Martirosyan was far away, living quietly in Armenia. Later, the judge decided Sargsyan's fate. The court sentences Grigor Sargsyan to a prison sentence of 5 years. He was convicted of leading a criminal organization, money laundering, and fraud. Sargsyan seemed shocked by the sentence. Anyway, once the court session concluded, Sargsyan made his way back to his parents' place, situated over the Polish deli. He found himself back at work, shifting boxes of pickled cucumbers outside the store while his mother shouted directions from within. This was the very job he had before venturing into the world of match-fixing. Heading directly to his upstairs bedroom, the very spot where his grand scheme was conceived, he took out his phone to draft an email reflecting on the judgment and its implications for him. "A tragic end to this adventure," is what he wrote. This marks the end of our 2-part series covering the man who fixed tennis matches and how he was caught. Now let's circle back to our trivia question. Nicolas Boromans, the Belgian police officer, mapped out the bets on what? Well, here's the answer. PowerPoint slides. Boromans mapped out the bets on PowerPoint slides, thinking this might be a way people were laundering money. And the rest, as they say, is history. Take a peek at our other videos. And that, my friends, is game, set, and match for this episode of Glam Slam Tennis. Thanks for watching.